Hello, I'm Ruth Stein. I'm the co-director of the Mostly British Film Festival. I want to welcome you here to our opening night screening of The Duke. And who better to introduce it than its star, Helen Mirren, who shares the screen with me. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your Lifetime Achievement Award from SAG and to tell you how touched I was by your speech about actors and how maybe you made the audience aware of really how vulnerable actors are when they're out there making movies. And so I want to segue into The Duke, which is our wonderful opening night film, because I wondered you play Dorothy Bunton, a very dowdy wife and a house cleaner by trade. One critic described you as out frumping Judi Dench in Belfast. Now, seen you at film festivals over the years, and you always look so glamorous. And I wonder, is it hard for you to appear on screen in bad perms and hairnets and scrubbing toilets? Or what are your thoughts about that?
Body padding. No, it's wonderful. It's what we do as actors. We explore different characters, and Dorothy was such a wonderfully written character. She was so funny, and but at the same time there was this thread of great sadness in her. So she was a multi-layered character, and you costume the character according to what the character is. So if I'm playing Elizabeth I and I'm covered in, jewelry and beautiful, beautiful dresses and amazing costumes, or I'm playing Dorothy, a costume is a costume is a costume. So, that's the fun of my job, is to explore these different characters.
That's great. So I just wanted to tell the audience, because they haven't seen the film yet, that this is based on a true story of an event that happened in 1961 when your husband, in the movie played by the wonderful Jim Broadbent, an out-of-work baker, steals Goya's prized portrait of the Duke of Wellington from London's National Gallery. When Dorothy learns of this theft, she can't control her shaking. So I was thinking, did you think about how you might react if you found out that your husband had done something for which he could very well be put away in prison?
Honestly, I didn't really, but thinking about it now, it must be terrible when people find that their loved one has done something heinous. In this case, it wasn't a heinous crime, far from it. It was just, I think, Dorothy's sense of wanting to, of the neighbors and what will the neighbors think, and not wanting to be a scandal. That was primary in her mind. I think was just the fear of what the neighbors might think when they see the police car drawing up and her husband being taken off to prison. But it was such a delightful story, and I thought so beautifully realized by the writers.
What is it about this script that popped out at you? Said you
Well,
wanted
it
to use?
was the perfect thing. It didn't need any additions or subtractions. It was and not all scripts are like that. Often you think, well, there's a nub of a nice idea here, but it doesn't really work as a script. But here the script worked beautifully. Also, obviously, the opportunity to work with Jim Broadbent was, a big plus for me. And then, above all, our wonderful director, Roger Michel, who we so tragically lost very recently, before really the release of the film. It had played very, very successfully in various festivals like yours. It had played at Venice and Telluride, but he hadn't seen the actual release of the film because of COVID. It was held back and held back.
Yeah, and Jim Broadbent has said that he wishes that it had come out earlier, and so it would have been in contention for Oscars and BAFTAs.
Yes,
For Roger, he wished that.
for my money, it absolutely deserves it. I mean, Jim, I think it's the performance of his lifetime. I think I'm sure he'll have many other performances, but it's a fantastic performance by Jim. And the whole movie, the writing, it's very, very delightful.
It really is. And I have a theory about the Duke, which I would love to hear from our audience later after they see it, if they agree, that it's also a story about a couple who, despite the really different personalities and outlooks on life, really do love each other. And I just felt that so much in that sweet scene where the two of you start dancing in the kitchen. Could you talk a little bit about how that scene happened, and if you agree with me that it's about their marriage as well as all the other things?
I think that's the delight in the movie. It's about a marriage. It's about a tragedy within that marriage. And at the same time, it's about this absurd thing that actually happened, the stealing of this painting from a major British art gallery. It's extraordinary that they could do it, so, it's very multi-layered, the film. But yes, the sense that this marriage is a very solid marriage. It's a very happy marriage. It's an old marriage. They've been together a very long time, so they can grumble at each other and sort of complain about each other, but they've got each other's number and they love each other, and as much as the dancing together is a manifestation of that, also them just sitting watching TV together, and just sort of talking in the way couples do, when they watch TV. A couple who've been married for a long time.
Now, I know you had a little rehearsal time week before you started shooting. Did you and Jim Broadbent talk about how you wanted to portray the closeness of this?
We did. I think we just felt a big thing, obviously, for us was the accent, because we're playing people from a part of England that has a very strong accent, Newcastle. We work in a very similar way. We look at what's on the page and we try to do it as the best we can, kind of thing. I don't remember a lot of discussions. We had a few discussions with the director, but we fell into it very naturally.
So I just wanted to mention that we're going to dedicate tonight's screening to the great Roger Michell, who audiences should know, directed Notting Hill, My Cousin Rachel, Persuasion, The Weekend. And that this turned out to be his last film is very bittersweet, but also, as you say, it's such a lovely tribute to him. I just want to talk briefly about your versatility as an actress, and it's very easy to do because the two films you've just recently worked on, you are in Fast and Furious 9 playing Queenie. Is it true that you pleaded with Van Diesel to put you in this film?
Oh, I did. No, absolutely. I was absolutely shameless. I just, because I was longing to drive cars really fast in the movie. Of course, he very sweetly gave me a role, but in the first movie, I was in the back of an ambulance, not driving anything. And in the second movie, I was in prison, not driving anything. In the third movie, I got to drive.
So yes. We're to believe that you did all your own driving in it? Or do you have some stuntmen in it?
As far as you can, a lot of it obviously is stunt driving, wonderful stunt driving, but it's a little bit of the driving was me. Yes, absolutely.
and the role that we're all so eager until this movie comes out with you playing Golda Meir. I suppose I could go back to my earlier question about packing away your vanity when you're playing her. I know there's a lot of prosthetics involved, and it's shocking to see how much you do look like her, and see you now, unfortunately, see that you don't look like her. But I wonder what you took away from playing her, if you sometimes take away things from characters, or was there something about her that...
Golda, like playing the Queen, like playing... certain characters are just so strong, like playing Maria Altman, actually, as well, in Woman in Gold. Not the fact that Maria Altman was also Jewish, and obviously Golda is, but it's much more. It's the kind of personality. It's very driven. In Golda's case, you might say obsessive, but without that quality, she could never have achieved what she achieved. The absolute.
Because she was the first. The first woman to be in that kind of power position. Did you come away understanding?
Oh, extraordinary. Her energy, her commitment was absolutely extraordinary, and it was it's wonderful to, because I'm not like that. So it's wonderful to visit those sorts of characters and get to understand them a little by being within them, if you see what I mean.
So you didn't go home.
Yes, that was
you didn't become more
well,
more
in a way,
bossy, or?
It's a very powerful journey to go into the personality of someone like that. It's quite affecting. She was an extraordinary woman.
Yeah. So I have to tell you, I interviewed her when she was.
You did.
I did, when she was raising money for State of Israel bonds, and she was at a party with all these people who donated a huge amount of money, and in return she autographed photos for them. And she was sitting on the couch, sort of a little far back, and she looked like my grandmother.
Extraordinary, absolutely. And the Yom Kippur War, which is the period that I play her in, she was very ill. At the latter part of her life, she was really physically suffering. Amazing strength of will to overcome that suffering, physical suffering, and the mental anguish of the Yom Kippur War, and sort of drive through it. A truly extraordinary woman, and of course an incredible fundraiser. That was what she sort of was.
Oh yeah, how could you turn down Golda Meir? And when can we look forward to seeing that movie? When is it available?
Ruth, I think probably later this year, or maybe the beginning of next year. I'm sure.
This will be an Oscar talk and BAFTA talk too, I'm sure.
Well, we'll see about that. We never.
Now we have the great pleasure of watching The Duke, starring Helen Mirren and Jim Broadbent. And thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. It's a pleasure.